So here's a topic I'm always excited to talk about, and it's mainly kind of how to use these multicolored mixed bats. As you can see here, there's so many different ways you can approach the color scheme for your final yarn. You can either pull the sections apart, or you can kind of marble them all together. I know it's something that a lot of people really worry about if you don't, somehow that if it's not pre-planned greatly, that you'll end up with weird color sections. I honestly had never started out worried too much about color sections, so what I usually do with these, unless I just particularly want a gradient yarn, is pull them into sections like you just saw. So you see in that chunk there's a bunch of different colors mixed together. So I usually, just for manageability, will pull it into a section that I can then, more easily maneuver. And then I just kind of spin from one end, and as you're spinning, you can kind of control, if you're all pulling from one color, like here you see I'm mainly pulling from the purple. You can kind of break the fiber, pull it apart and reattach to the blue or a different color, or you can just simply let it, as it spins up, gradually go from one color to the next while grabbing any of the little add-ins. In this particular bat, it would be Silk and Firestar. So you can either just kind of brainlessly spin through the bat in whatever direction you choose, or you can more mindfully kind of pull the bat apart and switch as you want to in between colors and textures, either from a single end of the bat, or you can kind of flip the bat over. That's the good thing about bats, is as long as all the fibers are going in the same direction. See how I just pulled it apart there, and then I flipped it around. So you can easily change kind of how the yarn is turning out as you're spinning it. So it is really fun that can be kind of like a create your own adventure sort of spinning technique with bats, which is one of the things I most enjoy about spinning from them. You can see for this particular one, and for the way I mainly spin, I'm doing sort of a semi-supported long draw. Here you go. You can see all the different colors, and this is a different view. This is on my SpinOluiton Bullfrog, so you can see the treadles down there. I also have the PauleyWinder, which is sort of an auto winder attached to this particular wheel. You can see all the different colors in that bat. So with this spinning, like I said, the PauleyWinder, you can see here in slow motion, automatically kind of wraps the yarn onto the bobbin, which this is an 8-ounce bobbin shown on a 16-ounce flyer head, so that's why that looks a little funny. But it works great, so I enjoy using it this way, but it slowly winds the yarn on there for me as it's changing colors without me having to stop and change pegs. So that is not a standard feature. That's something I bought and added after. And it's definitely not something that I think is like a must-have, but if changing pegs really irritates you, then I definitely think the PauleyWinder is a great addition. You can see it in action there. And you can see the different colors gradually feeding onto this. So this is my single ply. You can see as it's working onto the bobbin here, it does gradually, the little hills and valleys kind of build and go up and down as it's getting wrapped on, as well as the color changes. So I'm just, you saw, kind of picking and choosing and mixing the colors and textures here and there, and I'm not really too worried about how they're going on there, because this particular yarn is going to end up two-plied. So I know that when I two-ply them together, it's going to be kind of a surprise, which I really like, of how the colors from the two singles come together. Okay, so here's the two-ply part. When I two-ply on my Bullfrog, somebody did recently ask, I always set up the two bobbins on the top side there, not one on each side, but both on one side. And then I bring the yarns, the two singles, around the side, and you just, if I spin clockwise, I ply counterclockwise, and I just make sure I use that one hand, you can see, to keep the strands out of the way of the side, and I just kind of walk it up and pull it back, just like you would with any other plying. And you can see, depending on where the singles come together, how that same yarn can have lots of different textures and color combinations, which I really love. So, I mean, I love the surprise of how they always come together. And that's why with my spinning from bats, whether you're really planning it out or just letting it come together, it's always fun to see how that turns out. Have you fallen down the cottage industry rabbit hole yet? Well, if not, buckle up, Alice, and click on over to the description in the show notes and sign up. Then you can get ready for the most fun induction into the cult of all things yarn and fiber. This will include, but not limited to, free yarn, free ebooks, patterns, coupons, and much more. You don't want to miss out.